While retirement is generally seen as a time of relaxation and self-focus, God calls us to love, serve, and help others for a lifetime. He has been preparing us for this retirement season, literally our entire lives. In retirement, countless Christians enter a state of spiritual dormancy, not knowing how they are called to have an impact for God's kingdom. The Retirement Reformation seeks to encourage and empower the 50 million Christians approaching or in retirement to embrace the calling God has been preparing in them. When the world says it's time to stop, you can begin to have your greatest impact. Welcome to iRetire4Him, the mouthpiece of the Retirement Reformation, where our goal is to journey from retirement to reformation so you can say, I retire for Him.
Reaching out to the 50 million Christ followers in America who are approaching or already into retirement, you've tuned into iRetire4Him, the mouthpiece for the Retirement Reformation. I'm your host, Jim Brangenberg, and I'm joined today by the founder of the Retirement Reformation, Bruce Bruinsma. We invite you to check us out online, retirementreformation.org, retirementreformation.org. So many of you have asked, how do we get a retirement reformation started in our own local church? Well, today we step into show 2 of a 3-part series introducing you to our Recreating Retirement small group curriculum that's available now on our website, retirementreformation.org. For these 3 podcasts, we're going to do a high-level overview of the material inside the Recreating Retirement small group. We hope to inspire you to start your own small group in your own local body of Christ and start reforming, redefining, and ultimately recreating retirement for you and your friends. Bruce Bruinsma, welcome back to the conversation about recreating retirement.
Hey, Jim, I'm excited to be here and to be talking about this topic. As you know, it's been in the works for a couple of years, and so to be able to bring it to fruition is really important. And I really like the name Recreating Retirement because so many people have a vision of what retirement is in their head, and in fact, it needs some reforming.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity to recreate the way we think about retirement and then the actions we're going to take, this 3-part series is really going to be important.
So, Bruce, as you think about the everyday retired believer that's going to get their hands on this Recreating Retirement small group curriculum, the study, what's your hope? What is your hope for that believer?
My hope for that believer is that they go from, aha, my goodness, there really can be more, there is more, and God does have a plan, to answering the question that their grandchild might ask them, Opa, what are you going to do now that you're retired? And that, in fact, you have an answer. And it may be he's asking that to you when you're 61. He also may be asking you that when you're 71. He may be asking you that when you're 81. So to be able to come up with the answers for your grandchild, Opa, what are you going to do next?
Yeah, and maybe your kids too and your great-grandkids when you get the opportunity. All right, so during part 2 of the study, you spend a couple of weeks focused on helping the Christ-following retiree to get to know themselves, who God created them to be. Why is that so important?
Well, you need to have a platform. You need to have a foundation of understanding, an emotional foundation, an intellectual foundation, perhaps, but all of those different elements that you can build from. And if you don't have an understanding of where you've been, it's kind of difficult to figure out where it is that you're going to go, because what has happened in the past has helped create who it is that we are today. And who we are today needs to evolve to who God plans us to be and the activities that go along with that for tomorrow. So finding who we are, where we've been, what we've done. And this is going to be a challenge for many people in there because it asks you to be introspective, to think about yourself and to think about it in a creative way through a God-given lens. And so my encouragement for those that are going to take a step into recreating retirement is they be committed to that introspection and to that understanding, because it's the platform against which the future will grow.
And what you actually do in the study is you actually help them to understand the hardwiring that God built into them when He created them, but also the programming, the stuff that has impacted and influenced us as we've grown as human beings throughout our lives. Bruce, you also then transition in this reflective time to ask people, and this is stuff that they're doing, I imagine, when they're going to do this study, they're going to be doing this homework all week long in preparation for going to their small group to kind of share some answers and to share some things. Because you asked them to reflect on 5 events that changed their lives. And then you asked them about 5 choices that changed their lives. Why the focus on events and then choices?
Events are things that happen to you. You're in an automobile accident. That's an event. You go to a football game. That's an event. You go to a wedding. That's an event. You go to a funeral. That's an event. And all of those events provide a context for a response from you, and it is the context and the response that helps shape your future. Well, those are events that happen. Now, we go to choices. These are things that you decide that, in fact, they are presented to you, and they and these are the decisions that you make, and those decisions that you make will, in fact, impact how you will respond to events in the future and to opportunities that are presented to you.
So, I don't know. I mean, talk about you. Let's talk about you personally, Bruce. Let's talk about one event that changed your life.
I was on an airplane going to Frankfurt, and I ran out of stuff to read. I turned to my wife and said, "What you got that I could read?" She handed me the Bible. I opened it up to Ecclesiastes, and my life was never the same since. That was an event. That event of not having something to read, asking Judy, she gave me her Bible. I opened it up to Ecclesiastes. I read it through 3 times. It changed my life. And we can talk at another time about all the different ways that happened. Well, I presume the next question you're going to ask, well, then what choice?
That's right. What's one choice that changed your life? And I'm only asking you one. I'm not asking you to reveal all 5.
The one that I would choose would be the choice. When I was given the choice, the opportunity to go to Timbuktu, literally to the ends of the earth. And it was not the event of going to the end of the earth, but it was the choice that I had to make of would I respond and would I go? And it was God's call that I do go, and I did go, and I went to the ends of the earth. And that choice that I made has colored and impacted virtually every other choice that I have made for the rest of my life. Primarily, and you can think of it in a lot of different ways, but one of the key ways was the answer to the question, if God calls, will I go? If he puts an opportunity in front of me, will I make the choice to step into it? When there is an opportunity to make a difference, will I choose to do that? And so the book of Ecclesiastes on an airplane to Frankfurt and the decision to go to Timbuktu would be an event and a choice.
And these are just a couple of snippets of things that you will experience as you go through the Recreating Retirement small group material. We're so excited to get it in your hands. Make sure you check us out online, retirementreformation.org, and either download or buy a copy. I recommend you buy a copy so you can make your notes, and don't do this digitally. Write it down. This is a study you're going to go back to and look at your notes from going through it online, retirementreformation.org. We'll be right back with an interview with Marty Granger, who's going to share his story of living out his faith in retirement. And in segment 3, Bruce and I will continue to do a high-level overview of Recreating Retirement. We'll be right back.
Recreating Retirement is an interactive small group study helping you to move from nothing to what's next. You can join us on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. East Coast time on Facebook Live. Our goal for this study is to provide a group setting for interaction and new ideas while leading you through a first step in your journey from retirement to reformation. Here's the big idea. During the next 5 years, 5,000 small groups will experience this journey of discovery in churches and faith-based organizations across the country. Is your church a place where recreating retirement needs to be planted? Join us online to experience the study or prepare to lead a small group at your church or ministry. Email us at contactus@retirementreformation.org or go to our website at retirementreformation.org. That's retirementreformation.org.
Welcome back to iRetire4Him, the mouthpiece for the Retirement Reformation. As you know, our listeners, if you've been listening for any period of time, you always know that in segment 2 of every podcast, we bring in a special guest. Bruce, who do you have for us today?
I'd like to introduce our audience to Marty Granger. Marty, welcome.
Thank you, Bruce. Good to be with you.
Good. And we could spend a couple of hours my asking questions and you giving answers, and it would all be interesting, but we've only got just a few moments. So if you'd be kind enough just to kind of give our audience a little bit overview of how God brought you to where it is that you are in your life stage right today.
Okay. Well, I became a believer in Christ when I was 22 years old. I was a young school teacher, and I got involved with high school students at that time, just sharing Christ with them spontaneously. And that led actually to a career of 20 years with the ministry, the National Ministry of Youth for Christ, where I was an executive director in the Albany, New York area, and then in the Washington, D.C. area. And then, when I was 45 years old, after 20 years of doing that, I hung up my sneakers, I guess, and I knew that God had put a call on my life to the gospel ministry. And by faith, I stepped out and started an organization that at the time was called Faith in the Family. And I was doing speaking and teaching and really interpreting young people to parents and parents to young people and connecting both of them to the church, which was interesting. And over the years, especially living in Washington, D.C., after I stopped doing active youth ministry, a great thing happened. You know, living in Washington, there's always something going on literally every day in that city. And my phone began to ring, and I was getting calls from different national organizations asking me if I could help them organize large events. So over a period of about, I would say, 6-7 years, I worked with the Luis Palau organization. I worked with Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I worked with something called True Love Waits. And then one day, Promise Keepers called me, the men's movement, and they needed an event manager for their stadium conference in Washington, D.C. This was in 1994. So I put together a team of men from all over the area, and we were responsible for everything that happened that day except what went on the stage. And with 52,000 men in the audience, you can imagine it was a lot. And a great thing happened as a result of all the networking and the contacts that I made, and that was that men and women started asking me, how do you do this? And I said, how do you do what? Well, how do you run a 501c3 organization and do all that you're doing? And I said, well, why are you asking me? And they said, well, maybe you can help me. And what turned out in 1996, instead of me becoming a consultant to try to help them do something that, frankly, I found out a lot of them were not gifted or equipped or even interested in doing, I set up an organization so that we could sponsor and host, I'll call them independent ministries and independent missionaries. And over the years, it's been 30-some years that we've been doing this. We relocated our headquarters to Charlotte, North Carolina. My son, my adult son, my firstborn, works with me. And we moved here in order that we could work together. And over the years, what has developed for me, actually to get sort of to the point, is a burden. I've had a burden for not only younger men and women that want to enter into ministry, but also as I got older, I realized there was a whole mission field of Christian, I'll call them Christian workers, but I'm including pastors, missionaries, in particular, those two groups that for some reason or another, maybe they were forced to retire, they chose to retire, but they reached retirement age from their formal service. And I thought, there's so much capacity here. I have such respect for men that I've known that have been in pulpits for years and been in mission work for years. And when they're done, they're not done. And so many of them have a fire in their belly and they want to do something. And so basically we created a program for those men and women both, a place for them to belong and a place for them to continue to work. And it's really been quite rewarding. It's not the largest part of what we do. Most of our ministries now they're full-time and a variety of ministries, everything from ministering to men to, well, I could go into all that, but lots of writing and training and traveling and speaking and lecturing and discipling and all of that. But
Marty, it would seem, just in listening to that wonderful odyssey, I mean, which has got to be encouraging to, lots of our listeners. God doesn't seem to be done with you yet. What's next?
I am still active. I am not retired. And for years before I turned retirement age, I would always say, kind of glibly, or I'd say, well, retirement's not in the Bible. It's kind of easy to throw out there. But I remember when I turned around 65, I thought, I'll kind of wait until I'm maybe 67 and I'll reevaluate this. And then 67 came and I said, I love what I'm doing. Why should I stop? Maybe 69. And so here I am today. You'd have to guess how old I am. But
no, I'm going to ask you how old you are.
I'm 76.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm 76 and continue to thoroughly enjoy the interaction that I have and the opportunities that God gives you every day. My little sort of the way I wake up in the morning is, what have you got for me today, God? Who am I going to meet today? Who are we, like this interview? Who are we going to intersect with today that has a similar passion? And it's fun to live your life that way. So I don't see any need to retire. And frankly, my wife would say, no, please keep going.
Yes, indeed. Well,
Yeah.
if you hurry up, you can catch up with me. I'm 81. And people say, when are you going to retire? And my answer is, well, I already am. I'm doing exactly what God wants me to do, with whom he wants me to do it, and where he wants me to do it. And he's uniquely prepared me for 80 years for what's next.
Amen. That's great. Yeah, I have a certificate on my wall in my office that is the certificate of my ordination. And it talks about the calling to the gospel ministry. There's no expiration date on that thing.
I've noticed that.
That's how I feel about it. And
just for our audience sake, there may be some people who would, like to avail themselves of your services and so on. What's the website or the best way to be able to contact your organization? And
well, the best way is the web address, and it's ministry-alliance.org. You have to put the dash in between those two words, but ministry-alliance.org. We rebranded our name in 2014 to really more accurately reflect what we're doing, which is creating an alliance of ministries. They are all different. Can I give you an example for right today?
Very quick one.
Very quickly. A chaplain of a graduate school of a major Christian college, a retired seminary professor, and a retired pastor from Louisiana, and a man that was with the Good News Prison Fellowship Ministry for many years. These are some of the kinds of people that we've been serving in this program.
Well, we would hope that through the message of the Retirement Reformation, our new small group study called Recreating Retirement, that in fact the result of all of those, that there will be many of them that will reach out to your organization. We thank you for the way God has led you and continues to do that. So thank you for helping to build the ministry and being such a key part to that. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Bruce, and God bless you.
We'll be right back with more on I Retire for Him.
Our work on this earth doesn't end when the paycheck stops. God calls us to be faithful for a lifetime. Whether you're looking forward to retirement or you're already there, our all-small group study, Recreating Retirement, will help you understand, engage, and activate what God has for you in this fourth quarter of life. Join Retirement Reformation founder Bruce Bruinsma as you consider your past, strengths, spiritual gifts, and your passions, and how they all come together as the call God has for you in these years. Connect with us on our online community group at facebook.com/Retirement Reformation, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, or if you'd like to bring Recreating Retirement to your church, email us at contactus@retirementreformation.org. Are you ready to start your life-changing journey today?
Hey, welcome back to I Retire for Him as we're doing our high-level overview of Recreating Retirement, a brand new small group material available from Retirement Reformation online, retirementreformation.org. Bruce, here you go. I got some zingers here for you. Retirement isn't the same for everyone, is it?
Boy, it sure is not. It runs the full gamut of activities very close to home in your neighborhood to experiences throughout the world.
Right.
And for everyone, it is totally different. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I'm just kind of curious of what maybe it is that God has in mind for me that I'm not understanding now, or you've got this deep hole in a passion, you're going, man, I am really frustrated because I thought retirement was going to be totally cool. And now it's just being a pain in the whatever. And I need to be able to find something that's going to get my juices going and get cranked up. Or it may be that just yesterday you saw a need. You saw someone who was hurting. And you said, oh, I could help them. Wherever it is you're coming from, this is the pathway and the process and the recreating retirement, which will help you navigate through those steps.
You also touch on 6 questions that are related to questions that people are going to face. These are choices they're going to face in retirement, like the choice to love your spouse. Or why is it so important for our listeners to take the listeners and studiers, let's call them studiers, people going through the Recreating Retirement study, to consider these choices ahead of time? And again, you got to get a copy of the Recreating Retirement curriculum to understand, but you're asking 6 choices that they're going to have to make ahead of time. Why is it so important that we do this in advance of retirement?
Well, let me tell you a story. My son Brent, who is 54 and has Rubinstein syndrome and has lived in a group home in Arcadia, California, in Chino, California for the last 9 years, and is now about to make a transition to another home. And in the way that he thinks about things, he ruminates on the past and the circumstances, and then has a very difficult time of being able to step into the new opportunity. And so over this past weekend, we were with Brent and we went to visit the new house where it is that he would live with 3 others and the support system that's there. And he was going through a regular litany of why he shouldn't change. And he lived in the other place for 9 years and on and on and on and on and on. And I said to him, I said, Brent, the other 3 men that live here with you, it looks to me like they could use your help. And his head kind of went from side to side. And he said, do you think I could help them? I said, yeah, I think you could. He said, well, the room is bigger and it does have a door to the outside. And I think the staff is very nice, but do you really think I could help them? I said, yeah, Brent, I think you could. He said, okay, I'll move.
That must have been a very powerful moment for you and Judy.
It was.
In the Recreating Retirement study, you move on to identity. Why is it so important for those studying the recreation of their retirement to know who they are?
Who we are is the result of God's plan for your life, your response to it, and the way that you choose to deal with the issues of life that come along. And most of us are aware of the different kind of personality queries that we can have, ways we can learn about how our personality is unique to us. Now it's different from others. And so in the book, one of the things we do is we provide 3 or 4 different opportunities for each individual to be able to examine kind of different parts of their life, different parts of who they are, so that they can have an understanding, and then to be able to see how that then fits into God's plan for that next stage of their life. One of the results of understanding more about who you are is you have confidence and you have clarity about what it is that God is calling you to do. And you don't have to be like Brent and be so worried about what is going to come up that you've maybe never done before, or you haven't done in that way, or you haven't thought about in that way, but to be able to be able to put you into the place of confidence and of faith of taking the next step into the next journey of your life. It is who you are and who it is that you are becoming, and the impact that you'll have on the kingdom.
Well, and in taking that who you are concept a little deeper, you also then dig deep into helping our studier, those studying the Recreating Retirement small group material, to study their God-given gifts, talents, and abilities. Why do I need to know about my gifts, talents, and abilities in retirement? Aren't I just chilling for 30 years anyway? Sarcasm noted.
As we've talked so often, and as our audience knows, and if you're just joining us for the first time, in fact, retirement is more than nothing. Retirement is, in fact, God's call on the balance of our life. It is the opportunity to be able to use the characteristics that He's built into us and that we are continue to develop, and to be able to use those for the betterment of the kingdom. And there are so many needs in our world. All you have to do is, turn on TV for 10 minutes and listen to the news and then turn it off, to pick up the newspaper and read the front sections and then set it aside, to walk down to the street, to go to your local rescue mission, etc., to see the tremendous amount of needs there are, and to know that God has a plan for you to help address one or more of those needs with one or more individuals that He will put you in front of. Oh, what a blessing! But to know that and to be able to do it with confidence, and not to do it with fear and trepidation, but to be able to do what will come almost naturally for you as soon as you're able to identify it and then take steps into it.
Right. And we don't spend near enough time understanding who we are, who God created us to be, and what He created us to be doing, especially in our retirement years. Bruce, our listeners are wondering, how do I get a copy of the Recreating Retirement curriculum? Where do they go? How do they get this? And what formats is it available?
Well, our resource center, of course, is all at retirementreformation.org, which is our website. On that website, you'll see a whole panoply of resources that are available to you. Amongst those resources will be this curriculum and the ability to be able to download it virtually, get a hard copy, be able to be plugged into a virtual group that we are continuing to do, so that we will have virtual groups. So if there isn't one in your church, or you'd like to just go through the material a little more anonymously, you can do that, and it's available. Also, our staff will be happy to answer questions to help you if you'd like to lead a group or start that in the church, on to be able to give you the steps to take to be able to do that, and to then, above all, have it impact your life and then tell others.
So go out to retirementreformation.org, get a copy. You can get a hard copy. You can get a digital copy. I recommend the hard copy so you can make notes in it and keep it. Retirementreformation.org in our resource center. Bruce, great conversation today. High-level overview of the middle part of the Recreating Retirement series. When we come back in our next podcast, we're going to finish up our high-level overview of Recreating Retirement. Thank you, Bruce, for being here today.
God bless, and We just pray that this will be a blessing to our audience.
You've been listening to I Retire for Him, the mouthpiece for the Retirement Reformation, with your host, Jim Brangenberg, and of course, the founder of the Retirement Reformation, Bruce Brynsma. We're Christ followers journeying from retirement to reformation, so we can ultimately say, I retire for Him.
Retire for Him.
Thanks for listening to I Retire for Him, with your hosts, Jim and Martha Brangenberg, and Retirement Reformation founder, Bruce Brynsma. I Retire for Him is the mouthpiece of the Retirement Reformation. Most Christians tend to follow the world's pattern of rest and self-pampering during retirement. However, in your retirement, you can be focused on God's unique call to love, serve, and help others. This can be your best season of life if you take advantage of a life's worth of knowledge and experience and combine it with a greater freedom of time and money and invest it all in the generations both preceding and following you. The Retirement Reformation is encouraging Christians to find and follow God's call in all seasons and aspects of life, especially in retirement. Take time to sign the manifesto at retirementreformation.org and explore the wealth of resources available on our site. Join this movement of God and journey from retirement to reformation so you can say, I retire for Him. Go to retirementreformation.org.